Right here on Citizen Television. We're talking about pub breakfast. We're talking about chivalry. I said it. Chivalry, and whether it is dead or not. Of course, stemming out of a lot of the allegations that we have seen. According to one Roy Karuiz, who is here, he says it is 30%, I believe is what you said. It is blamed on the women because they're not demanding for chivalry. Men treating you right, pulling out chairs, opening doors. It's no longer priority. It's no longer priority, and he says also men have become crass, bad-mannered, very rough or bad-mannered when it comes to handling women. You can contribute to the conversation. The hashtag is per breakfast. Our SMS line is 22422, and we'll be reading out some of your comments again. 22422. That's the SMS line. What do you think about this whole situation, Sheila?
First, I'm going to say it's got nothing to do with chivalry. I don't think there's any woman out there whose main agenda is to be chivalrized,
And chivalry.
Yeah, to experience chivalry. I mean, if you're going to do it good, great. If you're going to open doors, whatever. If you're going to, say ladies first, whatever. Yeah, if you're going to walk into a room and find ladies standing and you offer them a seat, whatever. Yeah, that's up to you. That's how you are raised. We appreciate it. But let's be real, it's not really African. Chivalry is not really an African thing. But that's not what we're discussing. Let's not get lost in the chivalry. This is not what's happening. The issue with the actor, yes, the actor who came out, because for those people who didn't watch, who don't know the story, they're going to think that maybe the guy didn't open the door for someone or wasn't a gentleman. That's not what happened. The lady came out to say that this guy sexually assaulted her. Yeah, the issue. My comment on this, Roy, I really did give you a chance to speak. I was very quiet. The issue with this bad manners we call in Kenya, every single woman, your mom, your sister, your cousin, me, we have all experienced sexual harassment. It is what it is. You walk on the streets. Let me give you a perfect example. It's so ingrained in men in Kenya. I'm not going to even speak about South Africa, Uganda. I'm going to speak in Kenya. Every single lady will, let me give you how it starts, yeah? When I was in primary school, you walk into a bus, yeah? You're taking public transportation. Every single girl in school uniform knows, that was back in the days, I don't know whether it still happens, that you don't stand in a bus just kiholela. You stand and put your bag to cover your bum. Why? Because there's some random guy who's going to walk up to you and rub his stuff on your back. You're a schoolgirl. You're probably 12, 13. You're already experiencing this, yeah? This is the reality on ground. This is someone's father. This is your uncle. This is your cousin, your brother who's doing this. You'll be walking on the streets. A girl will be, hey, Sasa American height, and you don't respond. And then he results to insulting you because you've not responded to the catcalling, which you didn't ask for. Because men think it's okay, it's normal to be catcalled. Ask yourself, if you're on the streets and there's a lady say, "Eh, niaje, nani," and we start calling out your body parts, do you think it's fun? It's not. Yeah? And men think that this is a form of compliment that you have refused, hence you deserve to be insulted. And usually the key insult is that you're a lady of the night, a prostitute, for lack of a better term. I could go on. These are things that have been institutionalized. They're ingrained in our society that men think that it's an issue of chivalry. My friend, that's not what we're asking. We're not even asking. Look, I'm not asking for you to treat me differently. I'm asking for you to treat me the way you'd want to be treated. You don't go around, you'll be in a crowded place and you'll expect that, for sure, women will be groped. You'll be groped. Some random guy will grope you and then stand and look at you. And men are not having these conversations. It's women who are supposed to be like, keep your hands off me, stop harassing me. Instead of men having the conversation, why the hell are you the way you are? Why are you like that?
I think we use those examples not to talk about the harassment case. That's not what we're doing. We're not saying that the harassment is lack of chivalry. We're mixing issues there. That's not what the point was at all. We're saying that on the hindsight of these things happening, I said even the most basic behavior towards women is not upheld, and that's the discussion we're mainly pushing towards. But however, if we choose going towards discussing this from the point of view of what these guys are doing or sexual harassment is, why I always try to avoid that topic is because that's just not acceptable. So I don't understand why we should even have a discussion.
Because this is something that is happening. And men don't want to have this conversation because it's uncomfortable.
I'm not saying it's not.
It's uncomfortable.
I'm not saying we shouldn't have it. I've said it should not be acceptable, and therefore what should be done against it should be extreme. I mean, for me, it's a very simple problem to solve. It's not a matter of negotiating of, oh, did the chick take it a bit badly, or maybe I did something small and she's seeing it on an exaggerated level. It's such a clear black and white issue that's all about putting extreme punishment towards it. There's no other way around that one.
There's not many people who will
I'm open having the discussion.
Even if you have extreme punitive measures are taken, you can't do it wholesale. Like, for example, the gentleman who, like Sheila is saying, you're walking in town and somebody says something to you, or that girl who somebody rubs his whatever against her, 12 years old, or if you're in the bus station and somebody gropes you, it's not easy to turn around and say 20 kwa police.
Yeah.
Now, let me
the conversation here should be.
But you see, the sad part about that, Willis, is of course from that instance of where that holds, where I say I don't like having that discussion with guys and say I said I want it to be a black and white discussion, not a debate. Again, I don't think it's a debatable discussion. Being on the fact that us guys are fully 100% responsible for that. There's no way we should even be having that discussion. It should be men having that discussion with men rather than men versus women.
And
the women should be sitting here defending themselves and saying how they're being mistreated. We should actually have a discussion and saying, what are we as guys going to do about the way we behave?
Yeah, and you see, look, the key reason why these issues continue going on, is because when it's raised, when you know, a lady comes out and says, this guy did ABCDE to me, you know what will happen? If it's in an office, you forget even the trivial issue. Now, someone starts judging you on all your previous incidences. If you've ever had a relationship with someone in the office, it's like, but see, she's loose. That's not the point. That's not the point. I don't care if the lady is even a prostitute in the streets. You understand? There is absolutely no reason for that to happen. But you know why I say it's institutionalized? Every young lady when she's growing up, and that's why I say this conversation needs to be had by guys, because this is something that if you have a daughter, an auntie, or whatever, you basically, because they live on this planet and they live in this country, they are always exposed to this stuff. As young ladies, as young girls, when we are being raised by our aunties, our moms, our grandmothers, we're told to be careful of boys and men from an early age. As soon as you can start speaking and you understand sentences, you start being told, avoid being in a situation with men, avoid being like this. And guess what's happening? Guess what the boys are being told? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what ends up happening? When we get to public scenarios where men are interacting with women, guys don't even know what is not cool. And women, because we've been taught, avoid, when something like that happens to you, you don't talk about it. When someone gropes you, you think it's normal. You think maybe it's the pants that you wore are too tight. My friend, keep your hands to yourself. Even your pants are tight. I'm not groping you.
Us guys are very nice men. First, I'm just getting the lines clear here. Us guys are very nice guys.
There's somebody on 22422 says, Ambia Roya wache kusumbua Sheila.
Sheila is the one who's beating me. I'm not the one who's beating her.
Let's get on 22422.
And you know the worst part about it? I know there's some guys here watching right now and saying, who dem anaongea nini? Hiyo kwa nini kitu mbaya kushika dem nini? Wachana kushika shika madem manzi.
As I said from the beginning, Willis, this is a conversation men need to have with men, first of all.
Yes.
Before we start talking about men having this conversation, it's not about women defending themselves. It's clearly about men setting structure. And I've said the structure is decaying faster. It was already bad enough, as I said, in the cases of harassment that you brought up. A lot of those cases are old, which means it's been a male tradition that's been accepted and hidden, because traditionally you said, oh, it should not be talked about. And in this liberal world, I thought that with even more reason, that we are more liberal today, it's something that we'd be more open about. I think the reason why is because, one, as I said, 75% on the chivalry issue, the lighter issues, which is just good manners towards women. I said, forget about it. If we don't have basic good manners towards women, now when it comes to harassing them, then it will be hard, Sheila, to govern what harassing is, because we don't even have the basics. And for me, what is worrying me, Willis, is when I see the basics are missing. And I'm telling women to not accept, even if the basics are ignored, then women should not be accepting it. I'm just saying basic good manners or good treatment. If you already accept on that level, then guys, what do? They keep pushing the envelope as to what they can do. And how does it start with? By women not respecting themselves and saying, I'm going to measure men by other values. Which is why I kept going back to the fact that if it's no longer a priority to get good manners from men, then it leads to worse things.
Right.
You're already setting the precedent for something worse. By you not telling a guy even basic manners, you should not accept guys who do not show or demonstrate basic manners.
But can we accept that? For me, the most unfortunate thing is that I have to live with people who've already been raised with this jungle. That's why that Jungu guy was saying she's going to Kenya to be eaten by lions, because he knows that it's a jungle out here, and it is the truth. It's the reality of my world is that I have to grow up just ducking, like living like an antelope in the jungle with lions. You understand? But what we can do is start to have these conversations with the young boys. And I've actually seen projects like this where they're teaching sexual harassment not only to girls, because usually it's something that affects girls. Also boys also face sexual harassment. It's something that we need to you need to start telling the boys that, look, it's not acceptable to do this and that and that. And when we're talking about sexual harassment, when you see your friend doing A, B, C, D, E, you should be able to speak out against it rather than make the girl feel like she's a victim.
And that's why I'm saying, Willis, what does it go down to? It's when you start by teaching guys to understand the basic ways of which women should be treated. It starts from basic
from a
manners.
young age.
Yeah, manners start from, because bad treatment towards women escalates into molesting. That's where it starts from. It starts from basic manners. And the reason why these guys have no basic manners, because they say, those are not the things that matter to. If I want to impress a woman, that doesn't matter. What matters is, see, I'm the one who's paying the bill in the restaurant. Therefore, I can talk to her the way I want to.
Is that why they do these things?
Yes, because they start. I'm telling you, guys begin to believe that they have certain rights or certain treatments or certain.
Also because it goes unreported.
It goes, because you start believing when you start. I'm telling you, if you don't cut from a small thing, the huge negatives always start from small problems. So
let me ask.
And I'm just saying, what is
do women play a part in
the early part? They do.
Do we play, like, for example, for that young girl in the bus, who's just trying to make her way home, and this baba wenyewe amekuja nyuma yake kwanza
No, she's a victim of what another woman did.
So that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
You see,
yes,
there are women.
She's a victim.
There are women
who are victim of
harassment, small boys, men, in whatever capacity. Yeah, even in offices, we've had the bosses who are harassing their workers. And funny enough, there's a guy who's watching right now and saying, "Yeah, I'm actually going through that." But to my friends, I'm winning. Yes. You guys, how can you be harassed, man? Your boss is like giving you things, man. You're the winner. But that's actually. That's putting yourself in a situation, and he can't get himself out of it. But the question becomes, help women understand, because I know there's women watching right now who are probably dreading getting into that bus to go to work today, because they know. You had the story of Anita Nderu in a matatu,
right,
where a guy put his hand into her top, grabbed her breast, and when she turned to ask him, what the hell are you doing, he's like, kwani niza kufanyiwa nini?
But
why?
That's why
we need to address why these things happen in the first place. Not it's a bad thing, because there must be a reason why they're happening.
That's what we're trying to do.
Let me take some.
It starts by setting that precedent.
Let me take some two comments here. One from 2242, one from social media. Arnold Obunde says the society is broken because we have broken men. He says let's fix men, the society will be safe. Mentor boys to men, men enough, exceptional men. Old school chivalry still stands out. And then he says, men, let's also dare to be different. There's Jeff from Nyeri who says, morning, I'm a teacher in a mixed school, and even young boys in grade 10 and form 2 are already touching girls without their consent. I have handled so many cases of boys using their itchy fingers on girls, and this culture should stop. Let's start by teaching our young men to respect ladies. And I think that's where it stems from, from teaching that. And there's also somebody saying, yes, actually it's not about basic manners from guys, but rather girls stroke ladies should also stand up more for themselves. When you're treated unconscious, is that what, like unconscious? Yeah, stand up and rebuke it immediately. Women should not see themselves as weaklings. That's so keep talking to us 2242. And we'll continue sampling.
Sheila, when we look at it from that point of view, Sheila keeps saying, where does it come from? I keep saying it starts from that basic we keep going back to, that's where it starts from. And when the young girl, the girl who's being harassed in the bus or in the M3, who's 12 years old, is being harassed based on certain behavior of a certain Jama in that M3, who picked up that habit by certain things that are not imposed on him. So we're not asking her to react back to him and rebuke him, but there's a lady who should have rebuked that guy's basic bad manners, which have now escalated into this horrible behavior. Now, we're saying 70% of the discussion will be sorted out by men sitting together across the table, and 30% by...
And from teaching them from earlier.
Yes. 70% are sitting together, teaching young guys, this is what we should do as men, this is how we should handle our young guys, and this is what we should tell them. And then the other 30% will be women not accepting certain, putting together and saying, you know what, there's certain basics that we're not going to take. If we don't get this basic, then we're not taking you through.
You know, Roy,
I'm just saying it works in tandem.
When this country where we're supposed to be having 30% gender role?
Yes, youth and women.
We can't even get 30% of women into parliament. This is a man's country. Yeah. This is a man's world. Yeah.
Okay.
You hear what that guy said, the teacher, culture. This is not something that boys are picking on themselves. They're just like, you know, I feel like I need to grab. No, this is something they've seen their uncle, their father, their auntie, their cousin, you know, and it is socially acceptable. Okay? So this, and then there's something Roy keeps saying, that 30% of it will be fixed by women. Someone should
will be assisted.
No problem. But one of the key things with harassment and why women don't go out to talk about it is because at the end of the day, they end up being made to feel like the victim. I've just come out and told you, Roy, that every single woman, can come out to tell you of an incident where they have been sexually harassed. This is not, they've not been sexually harassed by another woman, by a man. You understand? So first, before we can even start having a conversation about how women can come in and help this situation be fixed, because every single time when we're talking about polygamy, women should help men. Okay, when you talk about why men are stepping out of there, women should help men. Okay, why are men harassing women? Women should help men. No one has
said that. No one has asked women to help men.
This is the country that's being led by men. Yeah, we need these men who are our leaders. Roy, take a moment and listen to what I'm saying.
No one has asked women to help men.
You said 30% of the problem.
No, I didn't say 30% of the...
He said they should work in tandem to solve the problem.
It's okay.
Whenever there's a problem, let me say that two situations in solving a problem. There's a push and pull factor. There's something you do and something you wait to be done. So I'm saying women don't just sit back and say that, you know what, because guys are messing up, we're going to sit back.
We're sitting back. That's all I'm saying. Protecting ourselves. I'm just saying,
fight for it because you deserve that respect. I'm saying don't sit back and expect guys to change things, because we already, as we've just acknowledged, that's the kind of people we're raising, those are the kind of men we are, and that's why we need to step back, fix ourselves. As we're fixing ourselves, meanwhile, I am not expecting or demanding women to do it, but I'm saying it would be good also if women can set the precedent by also saying we're not taking this.
So, as I was saying, when it comes to culture, you need to understand where it came from. You understand? Which is the question I keep asking. Where did this all begin? You don't tell me our ancestors were doing this. No. Growing up, I never used to hear about stories like this. My grandparents were against it. They would speak out against it to my cousins, to my uncles. You would hear my grandfather saying it, yo, you shouldn't be interacting with women like this. Yeah. So this is something that one generation somewhere, I don't know if it's our grandfathers or our fathers who raised really terrible guys who didn't tell them or maybe taught them that, yo, this is how we treat women. Yeah. But it stemmed from somewhere. But until we understand where it stemmed from, we're only fixing what do you call it, symptoms and not the root cause of the problem. I've said it. Me, at my age right now, I have accepted that I just have to keep navigating in this jungle as men try and fix themselves. And this issue is not even, this the same way, ladies, when it comes to any issues, women empowerment, blah, blah, blah. It's women spearheading that issue. It's women sitting down with other women and saying, hey, let's train you to be a more leadership kind of lady. Then men also need to sit down and have this conversation, because considering even your sisters and your moms are going through it, what are you waiting for? But seriously, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for something to happen live on TV for you to realize that there's a problem. This is a rot. This is worse than cancer. This is a real rot. Every single day this is happening. And we've been quiet. taking care of ourselves, we are taught, you know, navigate the streets, but nobody's actually dealing with the other side. The guys who are doing it, what is happening to them? And there's someone who said a girl should stand up for herself. How do you go to the police station? You go and say you've been raped, and the policeman asks, "Luko umevaa nini?" Are you going to go back there?
Right.
No.
So there's very different, diverse comments as well. Even before we take our final comments on this issue, someone says, as we get to the root of this unfortunate culture, it is also paramount to appreciate that it's here, and so therefore we should seek for a solution. And he says these boys masquerading as men should mature. And then someone says this issue here is that they also need to be some laws to be fixed to protect ladies. Then somebody says, hi guys, I also think women should not tolerate these things that are respectful. She says, I went through the same. A guy touched me in a matatu and I slapped him. He was embarrassed, and I'm sure he'll never dare to do the same thing. She's saying not that we hate them, but just don't tolerate.
Yeah.
That's another one as well. So pretty much we are pretty much saying almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Allow us to make some final comments, and as I check if I haven't locked out anybody on Twitter here, if the bundles will allow me. All right. Odhiambo says Roy peleka Sheila pole pole. She is correct to an extent.
She was more aggressive.
Somebody here also says that if it's no longer a priority to get manners from men, then we're heading to an even worse place.
Exactly.
Then saying Power of Cecil says, Roy, I wish you could have just ended the conversation by what you had said earlier, that it is a black and white situation and it's wrong, period.
You know, guys, I'm not going to end the situation by saying I'm not going to, you know, the person who told me that, end the conversation by saying this is not about a winner and a loser discussion. That's not what we're having here. Let's get that very clear. Discussions are meant to be there where we expose ideas and expose solutions to problems and challenges. It's not about me winning or not winning. So when I am open-minded and very objective about seeing different points of view, and it's very clear that when we look at a problem, we look at what are the different ways we can solve the problem that can contribute towards a pocket of solving a problem. We can't just say this was caused by this 100% and this is what's going to fix it, and therefore everything else
is a wrap.
It's a wrap. We leave it. No. Something has to be solved from different angles. Never attack a problem from one side. Never attack any beast. As you know, Willis from one side. I don't know whether Willis has attacked a beast, but never. We have to look at it from different point of views. You are not the one who's responsible for the problem, but you can contribute towards the solution. The lady who talked about slapping, as much as it is, yes, it might have been an aggressive move, but you know why I smiled? Immediately I said, she did something. There's a lady who stood on a bus, Rosa Parks, right? Stood on a bus. It started something.
Sat on a bus, actually.
She started the bus. She didn't stand. She refused to stand.
Yeah,
sorry.
she refused to stand. Yeah.
Yes, she refused to stand. Sorry. See, I'm so used to guys being told to stand and they stand.
Up. Right.
She started, but and it started something. I'm saying, as much as we feel that we're the victims of a situation of a little contribution, change starts with also you making something. It starts with the man in the mirror. As we, as men, Sheila kept saying, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Where's the problem come from? Then she tells us, you need to sit down. That's what we have been saying. We have said that. We have agreed that guys need to sort ourselves out. No excuse about it. Two, the second solution we said is there needs to be punishment. Extreme laws. The laws are not strict enough. The laws are favored towards guys. They're taken lightly. So the law is if it's extreme, then believe me, the same way Sigara Ilienda and the law and the fine is extreme, is the same way touch a woman and what will be done to you has to be extreme. And that's why I said I don't want to discuss it. I want to say it's black and white, because I said the law is pretty much weak on that. So already there's a problem there. So I said guys make the contribution from themselves, the law administration from its level, and then we're saying also the ladies do something to spark off, ignite this problem. Because the day you guys keep reacting against it in a very aggressive and non-tolerant manner, something will be done. Because believe me, we need women in this world. So the day they start rejecting us completely, then something will be done.
Like I said, when it comes to something that's culture, which is the genesis of the problem, where people are being systematically taught to not value women from a household point of view, to just how you generally interact with women in a social setting, then for me, I asked Roy one question: why why does it happen like this? Because if you cannot be able to answer why, then even if you say, let's sit down, let's come up with a solution, you're not understanding why they do it. And I can tell you why they do it. For the longest time, women were property. And so if you look at how these guys interact with women, they don't even think you're something. You understand? They think you're, like, it's their right for them to be doing this. It's like,
so traditionally we thought we were property.
Yes, people just have, and this has, you know, systematically been taught to guys. And you look how your dad treats your mom, and you're thinking, okay, that's normal. So you want to be able to carry it forward, to take it to the next level. But what you're forgetting is, and I think this is where now people are saying men are lost, because you've come from a situation where women were your property, to now they're your equals, to now, you know, whatever 2022 has in store for you. I really feel men need to really adapt to just get into 2017. If you really feel like you need to grab something, grab yourself. Like hapo pale ulikuwa unataka kugrab dem, hebu jigrab, usikie venye unasikia, alafu feel if that's how you want the other person to feel. But like Roy said, really legislation needs to be put there. Part of the reason why legislation cannot be enforced is because 99% of the people in parliament, politics, are men. And just the way it happened in Hollywood, as soon as one person stood up, I'm telling you, if someone just decides, ladies, if we put ourselves and we say, let's all come out and say instances of sexual harassment, I honestly think people will not even be able to face each other in this country. But one thing, when it comes to sexual harassment, they make it look like it's taboo. It's a taboo conversation to have, that you're not supposed to talk about it. It's a shameful thing to say, but while the victims are dealing with it. So I'll sit here and say, if you've gone through an issue like this, or you've interacted with someone who's stepped beyond their boundaries, please immediately say it so that we can start talking about
I think we're in agreement all along.
Yes, sir. All right, so thank you guys so much. Thank you for all of you guys. I see some of you guys are just actually now jumping in. Most of you are jumping in the conversation on 2242. I will end by saying this. One of the Reverend, and it was CJ Atemo, said something, quoting a portion of scripture where it says, it's very famous, when they took Jesus to the temple, it says, there's a portion that says the boy lingered. And he goes on to say that there are so many men who are out here who still have the boy still lingering. And just like Jesus' parents left him there and didn't know, you might not even know. The way you know is that if you are groping a lady and disrespecting a lady, you're pretty much still a boy. Going back to the fact that we need to get more conversations to the boys while they're still boys, and to graduate them to men. Have these discussions and respect ladies, for crying out loud. My name is Uli Saburu, reminding you that successful people look like you, and of course, like you saw, the great Manchester United. Lilian Muli Nzisa is coming up next with Citizen Extra. Be good to ladies. We'll see you.